Welcome back to another Whisky Wednesday. I'm Joe, and every Wednesday I do whisky video reviews. So last week I reviewed the Glencadam 10-year-old. Continuing with the Glencadam whiskies, this is the Glencadam 12-year-old Portwood finish. And all the Glencadam whiskies are 46%. They're all non-chill filtered, and they're all natural colouring. So it's a natural state for the whisky to be in. And the reason, I've said it in quite a few other videos, the reason I'll add colouring to a whisky is to basically keep the look consistent, and also if you add caramel to a whisky it makes it look a bit richer. So that's why whiskies like Famous Grouse and Bell's and just basically cheap blends, if I didn't have caramel colouring they'd be a lot lighter. It might put people off, and the batches would change throughout the year, so the colour would change. If they had caramel, it keeps it looking consistent the whole time. And to most people, a darker whisky makes it just look more appealing. For example, we get people looking at Ardbeg 10-year-old and they go, oh, that's very light, and it's because it's a natural colouring. So anyway, Glencadam 12-year-old Portwood finish. Lovely. I just absolutely love the colour that port casks give whisky. They always give it just a slight kind of pink tint to it. So yeah, kind of just brown with a little bit of pink. Let's give it a nose. Now the Glencadam last week, it was light-bodied, but fruity. And this one is very much the same, but the extra 2 years and the port cask finish, it adds even more fruitiness. So I'm getting apple, it's like a raw appley fruitiness. It's still pretty light. It is still light on the nose. It's kind of apple and plum. Imagine like apple and plum crumble. Maybe kind of like unripe plums. So plums that are a little bit they're not quite ready yet. They're a little bit tart. But a definite plummy note. Kind of plum crumble, a little bit of vanilla. You get a bit of the bourbon cask influence there. Like a slight sweet woodiness. Really pleasant, really pleasant. I just think port casks, they work so well as a finish. I'm yet to try a whisky, or even I'm trying to think of a whisky that's solely matured in port. If you do know of a whisky that's solely matured in port, let me know. But yeah, just that real fruitiness, kind of raspberries, plums, kind of slight kind of spiciness, maybe cinnamon. Just a real kind of sweet fruitiness. Right, let's give it a taste. Now the first thing you notice compared with the 10-year-old, that this is a medium-bodied whisky. There's a bit more to it, there's a bit more depth on the palate and on the mouthfeel. It feels a little bit heavier. Flavour-wise, we're getting that apple coming through again. It's definitely quite an appley whisky, but again you get that kind of plummy fruit, raspberry, kind of a slight chocolatey note. Imagine like kind of white chocolate raspberry cookies. So you get the kind of bits of raspberry, so you get a kind of chocolatiness. Nice bit of kind of maltiness as well. So the kind of maltiness is there. Let's give it another taste. It's 12 years old, so you still get a bit of the freshness to it as well. A bit of spiciness to it, maybe kind of like spiced cranberries, spiced cocoa powder, a little bit of toffee sweetness, a little bit of maltiness. Feels good in the mouth. It's a good mouthfeel and a good little finish as well. Let's give it one more taste for the final conclusion. And the third taste, as it starts to open up, a bit more of that maltiness, a bit more of that kind of toffee, kind of fruity toffee coming through. And on the finish actually sets it off quite nicely. It's quite drying, and there's a certain saltiness to it, which kind of contrasts quite well with the fruitiness of the whiskey. So finish-wise, really good. Palate-wise, really good. And nose, just really good. I'm telling you, port cask. There are quite a few port cask whiskies, port cask finishes on the market. So I'd really recommend looking out for them. But the Glencadam 12-year-old Portwood, that's a winner. Give it a solid 8 out of 10. Definitely a summer whiskey. Definitely. Fruity, light, a little bit of spice, a little bit of salty dryness in the finish as well. 8 out of 10 for the Glencadam 12-year-old. Thanks for watching. Leave me a comment if you've tried the Glencadam 12-year-old in the comments box below. I'll put all my Twitter and Facebook links in the description. And I will see you next week for another Glencadam whiskey. Cheers, guys.